May 12th, 2021. May 12th is always a bit of a milestone for me. It's the official day when I became a beekeeper. So I've been a beekeeper now for 6 entire years, and this season is my 7th season. I've learned a lot, and I have a lot more to learn. I'm still discovering new ways of doing things, discovering new things I can do, discovering new things about the bees and about the apiary. It's a never-ending learning process, and I think that's what really interests me. I found that in my life, that the things I love to do are the things I don't know anything about. So yesterday I did a short video, and I didn't get everything in on that video, but today I'll catch up with some of the results of what I did yesterday. So we did some boosting, did a nice big OTS builder, prepared some splits. So I'll be harvesting those splits today, and I'll be transferring one of my mini queens into one of those queenless splits. So it's 20 some degrees out here today. It's one of the warmest days we've had yet. A long stretch of cold weather is over, and out here in the shorts, of course. Only took a couple stings in the legs yesterday. I worked all day yesterday with no gloves, and that was kind of I have worked with no gloves before, but I've never worked all day with no gloves, and that was a bit of a different experience for me, and I must say it was enjoyable. I did take a couple of stings. They weren't real hard ones, though. One of them kind of, I had to scrape the stinger out, but it was a very positive experience. The tactile nature of naked hands, and one of the things that I noticed in the hive, I was working this one hive. It was quite a strong hive, and I had a few frames out, and I went down to grab another frame, and I could actually feel the heat on my hands, the heat from the heater bees and the warm brood and everything coming up onto my hands. You don't feel that with gloves. I don't poo-poo gloves. If a person needs to wear gloves, if a person wants to wear gloves, by all means wear them. I have nothing against gloves. I have nothing against veils and jackets and suits. If that's what a person wants to wear with their beekeeping, by all means do that. There is no shame in PPE. There is no shame whatsoever in PPE. Sometimes I feel that there are people who want to shame others into stepping beyond their comfort zone, and I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a believer in that. You do what you need to do. You do what makes you comfortable in your beekeeping. Don't ever think for a minute that you're never going to get stung, because you're going to. It's just going to happen. But I mean, you can mitigate it, right? You can get stung less. And I didn't get stung. You know what? I didn't get stung in my hands by lifting the frames or by putting my hands in the hive, whatnot. I can't remember. I got stung on the finger here at one point. I pinched a bee that had landed on me, not because I was in the hive. So I was very careful. And it was a positive experience. I have to work a little bit slower, a little more careful, but I think the bees really appreciate that overall. So anyway, let's get going, and we'll show you some of the things that I did yesterday, and some of the things we're going to do today. Okay, I've actually got 3 colonies here that are really, really far behind. And I'm curious if a boosting maneuver will help them. You can equalize colonies by moving brood around. However, this colony's problem isn't that it doesn't have enough brood. This colony's problem, it doesn't have enough bees. You can do combines, etc. However, there's a nice maneuver that I've been using. It works really well. Where I set this weak colony on top of a queen excluder on a strong colony over a matter of a number of days. Bees come up through the queen excluder and begin to help out the colony above, and thus help the queen lay more eggs. they just need more bees to tend to the brood. The very first thing you really need to determine, and sometimes it's a little bit of a trick, it's something that you may not be able to determine definitively, is what's her problem? Why is she not laying enough? And if her problem is simply she doesn't have enough bees, this will work. If her problem is that she's a bad queen, if she's not mated properly, if she's weak, if she's small, if she's not, if she's not working, then you're wasting resources by doing this. She needs to be taken out if that's the case. So that's the first order of business, is to see why this colony is so tiny. Now look at them, they're just puny. This is, they've done nothing but go backwards all spring. So I'll just take a quick look here, see if she's laying at all, see if I can see any obvious signs of something wrong. There's nothing in this frame. A tiny colony like this should have feed in that frame. So that's my first observation. That was some kind of crawly bug, it wasn't a bee. And one of my problems is I'm wearing sunglasses. So there's nice little milk brood down in those cells. It looks like she's trying. And so that's good. I'm going to boost this. I want to get the... Go away. I want to get the stuff off the bottom because there's not going to be any clearance down there on the queen excluder. Oddly enough, they're actually right over here on the story frame, but whatever. Alright, so we got a little patch of cap brood. Got some milk brood, got some tiny larvae. Same thing there, cap brood lined with some milk brood. And there's the queen. She doesn't look too bad. She's not tiny. She's maybe not the biggest queen I've ever seen. Wow, she just wandered right out there in the open and let me pick her up. Look at that. I didn't even get any other bees in there. I hope that's an indication how the rest of my day is going to go. This is kind of pointless because she's a 2019 queen. She'll be green. And my 2019 queens are end of life. And this may be, one of her problems. She just kind of, she's 2 years old now. She's wintered two winters. She won't straighten out so I can, there we go. Nice green makeup on the back there. Okay, let that dry. Just keep looking around here. So she's laying, but, I have a hard time knowing what to do. Because normally, what I would do with this, she's a 2019 queen. I would take this and put her in a nuke. And she'll sit there all summer, and if she's able, she will produce brood all summer for me, and I'll make splits for my grafted queens. So I think I'm going to do that because this is a 2019 queen anyway. She can sit in that nuke box. It's a little bit smaller. it'll be a little easier to, you know, regulate temperature and whatnot in a smaller box. So I think that's the plan. It's kind of unfortunate she's well into a story frame here, but you know, whatever, that'll be fine. They can do with that what they will. So I'll just take 5 frames and move them to a nuke. Got one over there ready to go. Just take 2 at a time. That's an empty frame, so she can have that. And that's a feed frame, so she can have that too. I'll try to take 3 at a time. You can take 3 if you're careful. Okay, so this is what we've got here. I'll give him that patty back. I don't know if they need it or want it or will use it, but they can have it. And I got Queenie here. She's feisty. I'll give her that. Put some of that energy into laying eggs, and everybody'd be happy. Okay, go down the hole. There we go. Alright, so lid. This is another one. This is another 2019 queen that I put in here, just with the frame of brood she was on. And she'll just lay brood this summer, and I can use that brood for splits. So those 2 are full. I always hate to see empty spots emerging in the apiary, but that's the name of the game, right? Okay, so this is another one. This is a 2020 queen, and she's doing a little bit better. We'll dig down here, we'll see what's going on. I gotta be kind, no gloves. So my first observation is the patty. If they're eating it, they've got a little bit of consumption there. The bees do not store patty. They will consume that if they need to consume it for protein, but they don't store it away. So that means if they're not eating it, you know, either it's unpalatable to them, but I know that's good stuff, they love it, or they don't need to use it, so they're maybe not brooding, you know. So those are kind of some observations on the patties. Everything's little clues as to what's going on. There we go. That's a big heavy honey frame. There's really nothing else on that. And really nothing to speak of in that frame. Here's a story frame. I don't know if they've built that this year even. I just put that in there. So here's a nice plastic frame that has there's nothing on that side, and that side is all honey. So that's a bit of a dodo frame. I find it happens a lot with those one-piece plastic frames. I don't have problems with the plastic right cell foundation, but those one-piece plastic frames sure are a headache sometimes. Same thing, there's some pollen in that side, honey in that side. Boy, these are heavy. These are really heavy. A little bit of smoke here. Again, this is a 2020 queen. I can mark her as such if I see her. If she's not marked already. So I see some nice laying here. Lots of eggs. There's the queen right there in the middle. I can't see the screen. So hopefully you can see that queen. That's a blue dot running around. She looks good. She's not the biggest queen in the world. Take a quick look at this side. You know, that pattern's not bad at all. She's got a pretty decent population here. The weather has warmed up a lot. The forecast looks good. I don't think this colony needs more than what they have and what they're about to get weather-wise. So I'm not going to bother with a boost on this one. They're going to be behind, but they're okay. Once the warm weather hits, and I mean, you know, daytime lows 10 and 15 degrees, I can slot some brood in here and they can keep that warm, and that'll help their numbers. So I mean, you know, what's that, 3 frames of brood? It's not bad. Yeah, they're gonna be okay. They're gonna be just fine. Got a marked queen, so there's no trouble there. And pollen here on this frame. Got lots of stores. No troubles. No troubles at all. Okay, we'll just put that all back together. Use the outside frame as leverage. I'll turn this around, so put the empty side in, maybe they'll draw it. Who knows? I'll put that in the inside. There's a honey frame next to it, so it's not like I'm putting an undrawn frame next to brood. And this one's kind of just kind of a stupid frame, not even drawn properly. Okay, well, I'll leave them alone. We definitely have a ways to go, but they'll be okay, I think. I can maybe requeen her in July, perhaps. If I don't, she'll likely die in the winter. So that, I'll mark that for a requeen. If they get strong enough to support an OTS maneuver by, you know, the middle to late June, then I'll just do that. And I've had very, very good success with that. Have some excellent queens come out of it. I just have to make myself a note here to requeen. I think if I just write RQ, requeen. This is just an arbitrary grade that I put on my colonies, but it's kind of irrelevant now. I had these tested for varroa recently, and my treatments definitely have worked. There was 0 varroa. And here's another one right beside it that is just lagging. So we'll figure out why and what to do about it. This is a 2020 queen. Put this wax in here. Get that wax in your smoker. It smells real nice. Smells like a nice beeswax candle. Okay, so this is a homegrown 2020. You know, by the look of it, they're definitely, you know, they have a ways to go, but it looks like they're on the way. I'll see if I can eyeball the queen. Yeah, queen's size is not the be-all and end-all determining factor, but again, look at that patty. No, that's actually pretty good because I put that patty on here yesterday, not even 24 hours ago. This is a bee pollinate. It's kind of dry. It's a good feed, but it's been sitting in my freezer, so I think it's kind of dried out. I don't take it very well. So that's pretty heavy. It's all feed. Yeah, it's feed. It's honey and pollen. It's really nice. I can't even hold it up. Pollen in there. Look at that. You think there's something wrong with this queen? I don't think there's anything wrong with this queen. They just had a bit of a slow start. Lost some population over the winter. Had a difficulty ramping up, but they're on their way. Yeah, they're doing good. Laying drones, laying drones is a good sign. They don't lay drones if they're not feeling good. If they're struggling, they don't lay drones. They'll just fill that drone space with honey. So that's good to see. I want to look a little further while I'm here. I just quickly looked at these yesterday when I was doing a patty check, and so some of these I wanted to revisit. Okay, that looks really good. Slab of brood and almost a slab there. The brood is very staggered. All of those cells have something. It's just that the brood has been so staggered with the variable weather we've had. So the patterns don't look the greatest, but that's not fault of the queen. It's not a fault of the colony. It's just the weather. They'll lay for a couple days and then they won't lay for a few days. And that just makes things look goofy. But I mean, look at this. Yeah. You can't fault that, right? Okay. I'm going to button this up. Stop poking around. Go do something useful. So we've got that one that we took care of. We put her in a nuke, which, is where she belongs as of 2019. That's where they're going to end up. And we'll give them back the Ultra Bee patty, because they're obviously eating that. And we'll let them be. Get it? So here's a maneuver I did yesterday, and I'm going to explain this because I think it is one of the best ways to do splits. A lot of people use it. If you watch how Bob Binney does splits, he uses this principle. He has a bit of a different process in kind of beginning to end, but what he does really works well for him. But he uses the same principle here. And so what I did yesterday is I identified some brood frames in this colony on the bottom. I identified brood frames I wanted to use for my split. So I pulled those brood frames out. I shook the bees off because I didn't want the queen on them. So if I found the queen, then that's fine. I don't need to shake bees. But to save time, you just shake the bees off the frames, and because you're only pulling maybe 2 frames. Replace those frames with empty drawn comb, so the queen can lay in those right away. I'll place those 2 frames into this box. Now I'll take the lid off. You can see what this box is. It's not just an empty box. It's one of my divided double 5s, and it's empty on this side. Actually, it's a little weird, but that's what it is, and they're just teeming. So when I pulled those 2 frames, I put a queen excluder on top of the colony, and then I placed this box on top of that. And overnight, what's happened is the bees have come up from the bottom colony into here to tend to this brood. Take a quick look in here, and hopefully it looks as good as I think it should look. I don't want to smoke them because I want them to stay up here. So this is just an empty frame I put in. So quite a few bees up here. That's my split. That's good. I'll bring this frame This is one of my brood frames. So there's, you know, quite a few bees. You know, quite a few bees on that side. So this is a nice little split. And this will remain queenless for a time because I've performed OTS elsewhere in the apiary. I'll show you. So, you know, quite a bit of brood, quite a few bees. There's actually a third frame of brood there. And so now, because there's no queen up here, this can sit here as long as I want, really. My OTS queen cell, this will end up being a mating nuke, because I'll slide my OTS queen cell frame in here and then set that aside to mate, and so it'll be quiet and I won't be checking that for quite a while. But the point I was going to make is this can sit here almost, you know, as long as I want, because one of the advantages to let this sit here for 4 days is that after 4 days the brood here has aged out, and aged out means that now after 4 days this split does not have brood young enough that they can make a queen cell. So when I take this box off and I set it on a separate bottom board and a cover, now they're queenless. If they had young brood, eggs, young larvae, they can start queen cells from the emergency response. If this sits here for 4 days, they will have no resource to do that. So now I'll have a queenless colony, and I won't have to bother to check or be concerned about queen cells being created into what will be a mating nuke. It's not the end of the world. It's 5 frames, right? You can check that pretty easily. But that's just a principle you can use. And I didn't show you the lid. Look what's on the bottom of the lid here. And it's teeming with bees. So that's a nice little split. I love making splits that way. So I'm going to leave this here, and we'll come back to it when the time is right. Okay, so here's a split that I made yesterday in similar fashion that I explained a minute ago. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my queen out of my mini nuke, and I'm going to cage her and put her in here. Because I have my queen. My queen in my cage here. Tilt that down a little bit. And I'd like those workers to come out. So you go away. And that's a girl. You climb out of there and you go away. So now I have the queen by herself. Queen by herself in there. I have my JZBZ cage. I've got candy in the hole. So I'm going to snap this together. Like that. And now I need to get the queen to go into that hole. It's a bit of a contortion. Forgive me if you have a hard time seeing what I'm doing. But I've had success just putting the cage like that and then opening the door a little. And she likes to go up. So hold that up. And she will eventually try to get out of that catcher into the JZBZ cage. Come on, you can do it. You just got to be more patient than a queen bee. Oh, she went up there. I didn't even see it. I was looking at the camera. Okay, so you see she's in there. I just want to snap that closed. I'm always afraid if I snap it closed, she's down here, I'll catch a foot or something. But there we go. We have a nice caged queen. Okay, see, one of the things I really love about these splits is these are all nurse bees that come up from the bottom to tend the brood. And look how well behaved they are. They're beautiful. You get them to go down a little bit.
And then I want to put this cage in. And I think I want to put the cage in this way up. I'm not really sure if there's a wrong way. But I want to put it near the brood so that while she's in the cage, the bees are keeping that area warm. They won't necessarily keep the queen warm, but they'll keep the brood warm. So if she's where the brood is, she'll be warm. So you can see that they'll take 2 days perhaps to eat that candy, and then she can roam free. So I'll write that date on there, check in a couple days or more. But I'm not going to be messing with this, because when you introduce a queen, there's a time, can be 7 days, 10 days, where they're still really getting convinced that she's the one. And if you come here after she's released from that cage, you come here 3-4 days, 5 or 6 days, you start pulling frames, the bees can freak out and they'll ball her and kill her. I've seen it happen. It's heartbreaking. Okay, so we're going to close that up, and that is one of my overwintered queens. So that's a 2020 queen, and that will, hopefully grow up and produce a honey crop this year in a 10-frame box. This is one of the more exciting things that I did yesterday. Exciting because it has the potential to have a wide-reaching impact on my apiary. So this says OTS May 11th. And this was a strong 2019 colony. So a couple things there. Strong, and also 2019. So this queen was end of life for this year. So she's now living in a nuke over on the other side. And what I did was I took one frame of brood with the queen, and I notched every frame that I could notch in this colony. Anything I couldn't notch, I moved to another hive, either with the queen or another hive just to hatch out, emerge. And so I've got my white marks on here, and the bees are cleaning it off, but I've got white marks on each one of these frames. And that's where my OTS notches are. I've got 10 frames in here with notches. I might be a little bit zealous with this, but I think it'll work out. It's a pretty strong hive, pretty strong colony. I had my hygienic testing done. So I marked these 2 frames with an H, because those 2 frames came from my my most hygienic colony. My most hygienic colony was still only about 80%. But it's as good as it gets here, right? Put that back. I just wanted to show you this. I don't have any business in here right now. Get off the patio. That back on there. Okay, so OTS May 11th. I have to do something with these. I've got 3 of these little guys. They're sitting above these double screen boards. They won't live, they won't die. So we need to make a plan. We need to make some kind of a plan for their future. We're either going to shake them out and pinch the queens, or we're going to put them over queen excluders as a boost or something. I don't know. Because they're just not really going anywhere. I think the double screen board has allowed them to survive and exist. There's the blue queen, right in the center there. She's laying, she's got all stages of brood, and just so hard to
So hard to seal their fate with any kind of a maneuver. I think a boost is in order here. You know, it's a 2020 queen. You know, it's not a bad pattern. She's trying her hardest. So I think what I might do is put these in a divided board, a divided box, over a queen excluder, and get a boost going on, get some bees up in there, because I've got 3 of them here that could use some assistance. I'll move that over there, and I'm going to use this colony as the support colony for it. I could just use this one too. I mean, it's right here. It's certainly strong enough. I think I will. I'll just, you know what? I'm going to leave that one alone. That one's a little bit mean. I don't like that hive. They're just not very nice. They don't like me. So let's just move the box to start with. I'm going to leave that for 10 days at least, so I'm going to put a patty on here. A little bit more patty for them. I like this flyer. It's the perfect size for this. Come on. This part I really don't like. A little bit of a breeze and just that paper flying around. Strategically placed hive tool. Yeah. I'm going to do 2 of these on this colony. So I need to use 2 small covers so that because I have queens up here. They're not splits. So they have queens. And I need the separate lid to keep the queens separate. Alright, let's transfer this one over here. I'll have to add a frame because the box is a 5 frame. I don't really have to. The time they're going to sit in here won't bother them. But I think after they get their mojo on, I want them in this box anyway. So I'll outfit it to 5 frames at this point. Hacking away at that frame. I think the queen was on that. Okay. These 5s are so tight. I have a love-hate with them. They're very convenient. They perform fairly well with the shared heat resources. I've got lots of them, but they're so tight. All right. So that's good. Get a lid on this. They had a little bit of a patty there. I'll give that back to them. All right, so I've got another one over there. I'll have a quick look at, and I'll likely just bring it right here. Again, there's no clearance on the bottom, so I need to clean the chunks of wax off the bottom of the frame so they sit down. There's a couple of workers emerging right there. There's strings on this jacket. Not a fan. Didn't look through this one. I hope there's a laying queen in it. Something laying eggs, but oh well, look at that. I guess she's laying workers. You don't see her. Maybe though she is on the next frame. Big green one, big green dot on her. So that's a 19 as well. And again, these are, these are probably, are they small because of their own fault? I don't know. And so these may just sit as brood factories all summer. They can sit there and create brood that I can use to make splits from my grafting project. Ouch. I didn't get stung. My finger slipped off that. Okay, last frame here. That's a nice feed frame that has lots of resources in there. So they'll sit there for a good 10 days, maybe longer. Okay, so I think that takes care of my little dinks that were sitting up top here. All of these other notes need to go so they don't confuse me. What we got to do is we got to mark a date on here. I want to say boost. I'm going to write BST. And today's the 12th. May 12th. And then I can easily just do the math and come back here on the 21st, 22nd, maybe a little later, and these should be ready to go. Off they go to their own bottom board. Okay, today's the day to take apart the minis. Now, what I've done is there's still brood and a decent population in at least 2 of these. This one never did perform very well. This one died in the winter. But I'm going to take it apart and have a look in the bottom. There are no queens in here now. This queen was dispatched for lack of performance. The other 2 were used up elsewhere. I'm going to crack this box open and we can see for the very first time since last August what's in here. Okay, I'll just set that aside. So I'm curious to see how much feed is in these. How much did they use over the winter? This one that died, actually, they've eaten quite a bit of this feed. So they didn't starve. There's still plenty of feed here. So they didn't starve. That's the most important thing to know. This one's really light in the bottom. There's pretty well nothing. A little bit on that one. But there's feed in the top on that one, so they didn't starve either. And I mean, they didn't die. They're still there. I just killed the queen. This is the one that performed the best, and the top box looks good. I'd like to see this bottom box. What I really want to see is there brood in here, because I don't want to abandon the brood. I know there's brood in some of the top box, so I plan to just set that top box over another colony as a sort of a second brood chamber. So I need to check this one to see if I need to do the same thing. I might do the same thing anyway, just to get this get these minis percolating, make them go. Fill them full of brood, and then they're ready to roll when you need your minis. So there's nothing. There's some feed. There's no brood at all. That one there probably had the best performing queen out of all 4. So
There might be brood. I can see brood already, I think. Yeah, there's brood there. You can hear the little roar, they're queenless. So I started building a cell here. I'm gonna take that out though. I mean, I guess I could have left that cell, left it in the mating nuke, right? It kind of makes sense, but it's not really what it didn't look like a very big cell, emergency cell, you know. Not my favorite. Not my favorite way to raise queens. So I'll need to set this above a colony as well, but I'll need a screwdriver because the bottom is screwed to the box. Okay, I might as well look at the last one. There's not much in it. There's some pollen. It's right in front of the door, so that's where they put the pollen. Bring it in and unload the truck right at the door. Okay, I want to put a patty between the two. Right there, and bring this up. Set that right there. Got a little bit of interference between this cover and that entrance disc. I need to make sure that's the top box, so the entrance discs are closed anyway. And I think it's important that that be closed. Push that down on that patty. Okay. All right. So I'll let that merge. They can use that as a second. She can come and lay up in here and populate my minis real nice. I guess to use my minis, I can use my same manipulation where I can take this off, shake all the bees off, queen excluder, and set the mini back on top and let the bees populate. And then I'll have 4 nice little splits. Put that lid on there. Come on, I saw you there, but okay. Yeah, they can stand that maneuver. You know, a sting in the ankle really hurts. Really hurts a lot. Okay, I think this is an appropriate spot for the second mini quad. Ow! Doesn't hurt so much when you have gloves on. Okay. Close those. I think they're all closed now. Push that down on that patty. All right. So there they are. The bottom queen can come up here and have rain over this. And lay it up full of brood, and that'll populate my minis nicely. That's it. So I'm going to take a quick break, have a drink of water, and then I'm going to clean this place up. It's just gets to be more of a disaster as time goes on. So that's not going to be very interesting for you to see. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the splits. That's a nice way to do splits. I think everybody should use. Perhaps I'll do a video on just that, and to help cement in those concepts of making splits that way, because it's a very effective way. It's easy. It's very nice. You get all those nurse bees. You can move your split to the same apiary, and pretty much they just stay there. So I really like that method. Anyway, have fun.
and take care, stay safe, and on to the 7th year of beekeeping here at Faith Apiaries. Thanks for joining me.